Hey guys, Geoswarp here bringing you another God Guide, this time to the power from down under, Thoth. Alright, a quick overview of his abilities. His passive, Dead Reckoning, Thoth gains a stack for every 30 kills or 4 levels with a max of 5 stacks. Each stack provides 4 magical penetration. His first ability, Hieroglyphic Assault, has his next 3 auto attacks ignore movement penalty and pass through enemies and apply ability damage instead. If these attacks pass through the Glyph of Pain, the range is increased. Evade and Punish has Thoth dash forward and grants his next auto attack to fire a magical projectile which stuns and deals ability damage, stopping at the first enemy god hit. If either pass through the Glyph of Pain, the range is increased. Glyph of Pain is placed in front of Thoth, which grants his abilities bonus range and damage. Allies' auto attacks which pass through the glyph gain additional damage. His ultimate, Final Judgement, has Thoth charge up. Once fully charged or casted early for less damage, a narrow projectile will be launched doing massive damage to all enemies in its path. Again, gaining range and damage when passing through the Glyph of Pain. The first abilities you want to go are Hieroglyphic Assault, Evade and Punish, Hieroglyphic Assault, Glyph of Pain, and the ability priority after that is Final Judgement, Hieroglyphic Assault, Evade and Punish, and finally, Glyph of Pain. The starting item build I suggest you go is Sands of Time, Tiny Trinket, 2 health pots, and a mana pot, or whatever the standard mage build is for the time. The build you want to work towards is Shoes of Magi, Bancroft's Talon, Book of Thoth, Chronos Pendant, Spear of Desolation, and Rod of Tahuti. Now keep in mind, this is a very end game build, so you won't be able to go straight for this most of the time. A few other strong items are Obsidian Shard, Dynasty Plate Helm, and Stone of Foul. Let's talk about counterpicking. Thoth is a powerhouse in the endgame. He can feel kind of like a boss. With this comes a lot of vulnerability in the early game. If you want to counterpick him, pick a god with a strong early game and early wave clear. The ability to shut down his escape is also essential, which can be done with any CC, so gods like Poseidon and Agni do really well against it. Combos! Thoth has an extremely devastating combo chain. You start off by casting Glyph of Pain, as you want to cast or attack everything through a glyph. If possible, wait a few moments for the glyph to come off cooldown. Then use Evade and Punish to dash next to your target, drop Glyph of Pain, and stun them. Follow this up with Hieroglyphic Assault, dishing out as much damage as possible. Then if needed, cast Final Judgment. In the endgame, this should be more than enough to drop most enemy gods. Alright, on to Conquest. Thoth is a mid laner through and through. Start off with the standard start for mid rolls. Once in lane, you're going to need to focus on your wave clear, as his early game wave clear is very weak. Hopefully the jungler or support will be with you to assist. One of the strong ways to keep up his wave clear is to use Evade and Punish in conjunction with Hieroglyphic Assault. This will give you a full or near full wave clear. But it is pretty high risk, high reward, as it will leave you nearly completely vulnerable to any gank or poke. Your top goal for the early game is going to be to farm and stay alive. One of the big downsides of Thoth is he starts off really slow, which means his ganks are not going to be top tier, unless you have a really strong or lucky early game. This means that you'll not have a lot of opportunity to help gank. If you do decide that ganking is the right idea, one major perk of Thoth is his distance that he can attack from. You can attack through a wall, giving the opponent no chance to retaliate, giving your other teammate an advantage in lane. Also, he is great at chasing down enemies, as his 2 in conjunction with his 3 goes really far, pretty much further than most any other god. You must be really careful with this though, as it leaves you with no escape afterwards, but it is a ton of damage. He can be quite the glass cannon, and if you're kind of seeing something evolve here, it is yes. A lot of his plays are very risky because his 2 does a lot of damage and is really good for positioning, but then you have no escape. Jumping ahead all the way to the end game, you just do absurd amounts of damage. If you were able to keep up with your levels, that is. The most difficult thing is hitting your abilities. Everything Thoth shoots is incredibly narrow. That, coupled with the abilities having incredibly long range, makes for some big misses, but also some impressive looking hits. The best thing to do here is just to practice. you will need to start learning how to predict where your enemy is going to be. This is where the next level of play comes in. Most people will not just continue in a straight line giving you quick 3 easy hits. Most will try to juke your attacks. One of the most common methods is to get hit by the first and then immediately cut back in the opposite direction and then head right back to where they were. This is good to know, but it is also no means a catch-all. You have to learn and adapt each game against each player because they all have their own unique little ideas. Your ult is very similar to the one that is similar to your one, as it just goes further and does more damage, so apply the same methodology here. All of this advice so far has been focusing on single target damage for somebody who's trying to evade you. When you're grouped up for a team fight, you should be able to let loose on your target with comparable ease, as they will be trying to attack and not just dodge your abilities, meaning they'll be a lot less mobile. You will bring up the backlines, and your goal is really to not take any damage, as it is with all glass cannons. You will be a high priority target with your high damaging, low cooldown abilities. Let your tanks tank and mow down anyone who approaches you. Don't be afraid to sit back and poke from a distance. Even if you miss some shots, it's okay, just stay alive and keep shooting those abilities. Alternative game modes. Thoth is pretty solid in all game modes. The distance he can attack from and the damage he can provide is very strong, and that's just flat against everything. That's just what he does. His weakest game mode, I would say, is Arena, as I've played it many times and it's very hard to get good footage from, as you very rarely make it to a full build Thoth, and you'll always just feel a little bit behind, unless of course you get fed or build an earlier game style build. Alright, let's talk some tips and tricks, because there are a lot for Thoth. 1. Final Judgement is a very good deterrent, as it lets you charge up without actually casting it, much like Mercury. This can be great if you are low, being chased by a low health enemy, causing them to flee or to threaten at the start of a team fight, which would mess up their positioning. Both of those are really strong, and there are a lot of other ways to do it. Nobody wants to approach a Thoth who might be able to one-shot them if they're unlucky. 2. Final Judgement is an absolute powerhouse when it comes to damage. It's absurd. I've one-shot people from full life, so really take your time when aiming it and try to land it. It's gonna be huge. 3. Final Judgement. Yeah, I know. They're all on Final Judgement so far. Okay, I'll get to it. Requires a glyph to travel further and do more damage, which can be difficult as you have to plan ahead. After casting Evade and Punish, you can then lay down a glyph and then shoot off your stun, as it simply replaces your auto attack. During the charging of your ult, you cannot, so make sure you throw down your glyph beforehand. 4. All of your abilities go through walls. This means you can let loose a lot of surprise damage, making wards even more critical, especially in game modes like Joust and Siege. You can even ward the lane to hit unexpected gods and make it much easier on yourself. 5. When attacking from behind a wall, you can place a glyph inside the wall, completely covering what you're intending while still providing the benefit. I use this all the time. And that's my guide to Thoth. I'm Geoscano. Did I miss anything? Tweet me at Geoswarp and join my Discord channel from the link below. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching. I wanted to take a second at the end of the video to thank Duke for this opportunity and you guys for watching. I really hope to see some of you over at Geoswarp Productions. All the links are below. Thanks again.